Hello guys, my name's Sandra and I'm going to be doing a series of videos about my gastric band surgery, which is very soon. It's now Monday the 18th of February 2013 and I am having surgery on Wednesday. So I am travelling to Brussels tomorrow afternoon with my lovely boyfriend, who's in for a treat, to Brussels to meet with Dr. Chris de Bruin. I'm probably saying the surname wrong, but you know, there you go. To have gastric band surgery on Wednesday. I've been thinking about banding for ever and a day. I'm around about £100, so 7 stone-ish, overweight. Which is quite a significant amount, obviously, and I'm 32, so still relatively young, but it's getting to the time where I'm starting to worry more about my health. You know, I should have worried about it a long time ago, but I'm starting to feel, I suppose, the side effects of being so very overweight. Thankfully, I'm not diabetic, I don't have high blood pressure, so I'm in relatively good health at the moment, but you know, I am getting kind of pains here and there just from, you know, if I try to exercise, my knees hurt sometimes. You know, I have the same structure, same body, same muscles as everyone else, and you know, if you got a perfectly fit, thin woman of my age to walk around with a £100 jacket on, let's see how great she feels. So not feeling the best, but not too bad. So I thought this would be the right time to really take control, I suppose, of my weight and get it sorted once and for all. Obviously I have tried dieting and it does work. I'm not suggesting that, you know, I'm like this special person who has, you know, really bad metabolism and I only eat about, you know, a cracker and an apple every day. Well, that's nonsense, and anyone who tells themselves that is lying to themselves, I think. Obviously there are some people who have medical conditions, but I do overeat. I don't necessarily, I think, eat 10,000 calories a day, but you know, it only takes 500 extra calories here and there to steadily put on weight. So I think that's what's really happened to me. I've been overweight all of my life, even as a child, but not particularly overweight, just a bit chubby, I suppose, a bit chunky. And it's only really when I kind of got into my mid-teens that I started putting on serious weight. And a lot of that is, you know, reduction in activity. You know, when you're doing the Irish equivalent to A-levels, you're leaving cert, you're not exactly, dance classes go out the window, and a lot more kind of comfort eating because of stress, and then, you know, university, and just not really taking great care of myself. And my activity level has definitely decreased over the years, to the point now where, because I have such a massive commute to work, I, you know, drive 60 miles a day, at least, sometimes a bit more. I'm just not in form of doing anything, especially with, you know, feeling not in the best of health. It's, you know, it is a struggle. So I feel that actually the gastric band is the way to go, because I find it difficult to lose weight with diet alone. I become, you know, miserable. Nobody likes to be hungry. And it can be really difficult, you know, going out for dinner and always making those correct food choices. You know, for somebody who's naturally slim, that's not an issue for them. They can, you know, go out for dinner and will only eat until they're full. I think, like most overweight people, I don't really know when I'm full. And even when I'm full, I finish whatever I have. So, you know, there's a lot of kind of interesting relationships with food that we all have, and some people's are just a bit healthier, I suppose. So I think what the band will do for me is force me to have a better relationship with food. I will no longer be able to make really poor food choices. I will no longer be able to overeat because of the discomfort and also the minute amount of food really that you can consume before that discomfort kind of kicks in. What I really wanted to talk about, I suppose, in this video, and hopefully I will be uploading more, is why I've, decided to go to Brussels, why I've decided on gastric banding rather than other procedures that I am eligible for. We all know I live in England, although I am Irish. I've lived here for 5 years, and even here, bariatric surgery of any kind is really expensive. There's just not a chance of getting it done on the NHS, which I suppose is fair enough. It needs to be reserved for those people who are, super extra morbidly obese, and I understand that completely. But I cannot afford to pay for it. In this country, basically, you're looking at some £5,000-6,000. With Dr. Chris in Brussels, it's just over €4,000, which, depending on the exchange rate, is 3,700. So almost getting to kind of half price there. Now, obviously, that can't be the only consideration, but it was definitely, at least 50% of the reason why I started looking outside of the UK and Ireland. Worked on this for a couple of years to try and find a surgeon that I felt really comfortable with. I've been thinking about banding for a long time. I've been kind of now and again popping in, doing a bit of research, trying to find out who's done the most surgeries, what surgeons have higher complication rates than others, all that kind of stuff. So, I've been quite sensible about it, really. So I found Dr. Chris, and I've kind of been researching him for a good few months now, 5-6 months or so, finding out about his medical history. He's performed thousands and thousands of these operations. There is good aftercare in the UK and Ireland, so you can contact him by email, you can go to see him, or Frederick, I think, who's the head nurse that works with Dr. Chris, every few weeks if you so choose, and that's really important. I think a lot of places, even in here in the UK, the aftercare doesn't seem particularly great, and they charge you kind of extortionate amounts for everything on top of it. You pay for a consultation, you pay for your fills, the band fills, which of course you do with all surgeons, but with Dr. Chris it's £100, and that's a lot more feasible than some of the rates that I've seen. Some surgeons have been charging extra for different kinds of anaesthesia, or charging you extra for pain medication, all that kind of stuff, where it just builds up. And even factoring in travelling to Brussels, which myself and my boyfriend got flights with BMI Regional from Leeds Bradford Airport. I suppose it used to be BMI Baby, but now it's like a business airline type thing. But the flights with them were £120. I didn't fancy the Eurostar, I don't really like trains, but a lot of people do that and they're happy with it, and it's affordable. So even when you factor in that cost, it's still significantly cheaper than getting it done in this country. And the hotel stay is included in the price with Dr. Chris. So you get to stay in, I think I'm staying in the Lodge Hotel in Vilvoorde. I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm not sure. But there is another hotel as well. So you get your 3 nights there. Obviously 1 night you stay in the hospital, but whoever's with you gets to stay in the hotel. So they get 3 nights in the hotel. So that seems like really good value for money, actually. The other thing, like looking at Dr. Chris's kind of medical background. He, you know, obviously very well educated, has done thousands of these procedures. He's never had any serious complications at all. And even kind of non-serious ones are very, very minimal. So, you know, band slipping and things like that. And they've always been very, very minimal. And I should imagine, just doing my own bit of research on it, that a lot of that is probably to do with a patient not following their post-operative diet. So, you know, if you try to eat solid straight away, you're going to make the band move, basically. I don't know that for certain, but that, you know, seems likely. So I felt very comfortable with him. Emailed his company in this country, which is Europe Surgery. And I talked to Bridget a good few times. I've been talking to her for months now because I am one of those really over-the-top kind of people. I need to know and understand everything that's going to happen before I'm comfortable doing something. And that's, you know, it's just the way I am. And, you know, they've always been very nice and explain things really well. And I was able to email Dr. Chris directly, you know, with all my vital statistics and filled out a form and all that kind of good stuff. So that has made me feel quite comfortable about it, really. So those are all the reasons why I chose to go to Belgium to see Dr. Chris and have my gastric band. Now there's different kinds of bariatric surgery. There's gastric banding, there's gastric bypass, there's gastric sleeve, I think is the other one. And I've kind of researched all of them to see which one would suit best for me. Now I've chosen to go with the band because it is reversible. I don't really like the idea of personally having a permanent surgery that alters the way that you process food. Just don't really like the idea of that. It's adjustable, so you know you get to control the rate at which you lose weight. The way I look at it, I've spent a long time putting this weight on, so I don't think it's necessarily the healthiest thing to do, for me anyway, to lose the weight mega fast. You know, if within a year I'm down to a weight that's close to where I should be, then I'm happy enough. And I like that sense of control you can have over the band. Interesting thing I think about some of the other surgeries, and I think it's the gastric sleeve particularly, is that like kind of cuts a chunk of your stomach away and redirects you know, part of your intestines and things. And one of the big selling points about that I think is that you don't necessarily have to amend the kinds of things that you can eat. So you can pretty much, you know, eat whatever you want, but in significantly smaller portions. Now, what I was worried about is that, you know, I don't have the best relationship with food. I don't think I'm an emotional eater or anything like that, but, you know, I eat what's in front of me, and I don't think that the gastric sleeve would be for me, because over a period of time you could stretch out your kind of new stomach, and I think that would happen to me. You know, and just a bit of kind of medical data that I've had a look into. I've got you know, my brother is kind of a bit sciencey, so I got him to kind of have a look at some stuff for me. And it was just looking at statistics of people who, you know, have gastric banding versus gastric sleeve, and what their outcomes are long term. Now, obviously with gastric sleeve, you lose weight really quickly, which is brilliant for some people. But ultimately, you know, within 1 or 2 years, that kind of peters off, and you're pretty much at the same level as if you'd had a gastric band. Now, that's not obviously the case for everyone, but on average, you know, statistics take an average. And I said within 5 years, actually, the weight loss for both groups pretty much the same. And I thought, well, why have, for me, a more serious operation, you know, affect how you process food, and ultimately not change the way that you eat or the kinds of things that you eat, which is what my problem is. Why would I go down that route just because it might be a bit quicker? So for me anyway, gastric band I thought was the way to go. If I choose to, you know, take all of the saline out of the band, I can. If I want to have it removed, I can, which I don't see why I would, but you know, some people do, and I just like the idea that, you know, it's simple enough surgery. Dr. Chris can do it really quickly because he's done so many of them, and I just feel more comfortable with it. You know, I don't think, unless it was absolutely necessary, anybody should have a surgery that is more complicated. If there's a more simplified one, that will work ultimately in the long run just as well. So that was kind of my thoughts about it. Now obviously there's people who have completely different points of view, and that's cool, you know, whatever works for you is brilliant, but just from you know, obviously this is all my perspective. So that's kind of why I chose gastric banding. So as I said at the beginning, it is now Monday night. I am in work in the morning, and then I'm travelling to Leeds, Bradford. I'm flying to Brussels, meeting with Dr. Chris that evening, surgery Wednesday morning, some point between 10 and 12 as far as I know. So really not long left, and I'm really excited, really nervous also. You know, surgery's never anything that should be taken lightly. It's pretty scary. And the rational part of my mind is saying, you know, oh, it'll be okay, it'll be fine. Of course it will, in reality. But that kind of irrational part of me, that kind of emotional part is quite worried. And I think that's kind of been heightened by, you know, I've been on a really low fat diet the past couple of weeks, because what Chris likes to do is make sure that your liver is in as healthy a state as possible, because if your liver is kind of really fatty and bloated, it can basically get in the way of the stomach and make keyhole surgery more difficult. So the idea is that for 2 weeks before you go for surgery, you're on a really low fat diet. Now I always presumed that I had a relatively low fat diet anyway, because I don't really eat much meat, wouldn't necessarily eat a lot of fried food anyway. You know, my big thing is carbs. But actually, when you stop to think about it and, you know, pay attention to what you're eating, there is fat in pretty much everything. Everything processed anyway has fat in it. So actually the past couple of weeks I've lost about 5 or 6 pounds, just because of that low fat diet. So no dairy products. As somebody who doesn't really eat much meat, I love dairy products. That's been quite difficult. So no dairy products whatsoever. I've had, I have had 2 yogurts that were fat free, so it's essentially the same. No cooking oil, eating a lot of corn, you know, the vegetarian substitute, salad. Bread's been fine because I love bread and I've been able to eat that, but it's not the same without all the nice things that go on bread. So it has been difficult. Tummy's not been great, kind of adjusting to that, but you know, that's just a change, and ultimately it's worth it in the end. So you kind of have to sometimes suck it up and get on with it. So that's hopefully how it's going. So I'm looking forward to meeting with Chris tomorrow night, and just all of my concerns are kind of put to bed, as it were. So the plan is, when I get to Brussels, I'll do a little video of showing you around the hotel. It looks really nice actually on booking.com. Apparently it used to be like an old kind of detention centre prison, which doesn't sound promising, but the pictures are really nice. So I was going to do a little bit of a waz around the hotel to show you, and a bit of filming maybe before I go to bed on some kind of thoughts. You know, if anyone can get comfort from any of these and advice, then I'm happy to do it. And obviously, you know, as these go up on YouTube, if anybody has any comments, please be nice. There's no need to be rude. But if anybody has any comments or questions, feel free to stick them down below. That sounded all kinds of wrong. Post them where you're supposed to. And I'm happy to respond when I get a chance. So the next time I talk to you, I will be in Brussels preparing for my operation, getting to grips with the idea of having a liquid only diet for a couple of weeks afterwards, which I'm not looking forward to. I've bought some stuff in already, like fat-free yogurts and fruit juices, smooth yogurts, no lumps, flavoured water, sugar-free water, can't have anything fizzy, and I'm not really a sweet food person, so it's really hard, because most things that, you know, puree up well or kind of liquidise well are kind of fruits and sweet things. I like fruit, but you know, not for 3 or 4 meals a day. I have got some cup of soups as well, so that will make a nice change. So I'm not looking forward to that. I'm hoping that the first few days after surgery I just won't really be in the mood of eating. That's my plan. That's what I'm hoping for. So if I'm not in the mood of eating particularly, I just have to make sure I stay hydrated, and then it's not so much of a chore. I did buy a couple of baby food squidgy things. I bet you they're rank, but I thought, well, you might as well give it a go. So I'm looking forward to kind of, you know, getting the surgery, getting all that sorted, going on a liquid only diet, and you know, it's a small price to pay really for the long-term benefits, and getting that over and done with, and kind of starting the rest of my life really. So next time I see you, I'll be in Brussels. I'll get my other half, my boyfriend, to maybe have a film of me, so it's not just my big giant disembodied head floating in a darkened bedroom. So you can actually get a proper look at my size. I'm about a dress size 22, so pretty big, so that you can actually get a visual, you know, idea of how big I am and my stages in my weight loss. I think that'd be really useful. So any questions, comments, anything else, pop them down there, and speak to you soon. Hi guys, I'm just updating you on what's going on. I hope this is filming okay. I have nowhere to put the camera. That's at a decent height, so I'm just holding up my arm, so I might start shaking. It's the morning of my surgery. It is 6:30 in the morning. I'm just out of the shower. Obviously I can't put any makeup on or anything like that, so hence the rough face. I met with Bart last night, who's one of the nurses with the surgeon, and he was really good fun actually. I hope if he ever sees this, not that he ever would, but he just reminds me of what's his name, Bruno Tognoli from Strictly. So full of arm movements and, you know, gesticulation, so he's quite funny actually. Put my mind at ease about a lot of things. A few things I didn't know was going to happen, or didn't know were going to happen, will be happening. So things like after surgery you have to have heparin injections, anti-blood clotting injections, which you have to perform to yourself. So you basically inject them into the muscle in your leg. Can't imagine it would be a particularly big deal, but you know, it's one of those little things that you're like, crud, I could have done with knowing that before I came, because I'm a bit crazy and a bit of a control freak. But you know, he reassured me that it'll be fine. It's one of the things you don't really need to worry about. We were talking about pain after surgery, and I'm quite confident that actually the pain will be completely manageable, so I'm not really worried about that at all. So I'm heading off to the hospital now, where I have to register and bring different details with me and my passport and all that kind of stuff. And then I'll meet with Chris and Bart and Fred as well, who are the nurses, to talk through a few different things. I have just random questions like, I have piercings, I presume I need to take them out, that kind of stuff. And then we kind of get ready to rock and roll. So hopefully my surgery will be around 1 or 2 o'clock.